Before we get into it, a warning. Most of what you hear on this show ends with an answer. This one doesn't. This is a real man, found dead on a real beach in 1948, and after 75 years, nobody has ever explained why.
Or who did it.
I didn't say anyone did anything.
You didn't have to. Say the name.
The Somerton Man.
There it is.
Picture it. December 1st, 1948, early morning, Somerton Park Beach in Adelaide. A quiet stretch of sand backed by a low stone seawall, the water still and gray this early. It's summer there, so the light's already up, already warm. The kind of morning where you'd expect joggers, maybe a fisherman. And propped against that wall, legs crossed at the ankle, arms folded almost casually across his chest, is a man in a full suit and tie, fully dressed on a beach at dawn.
Except he's not asleep. His head's tilted just slightly wrong. The kind of wrong you don't clock right away, but you feel it. And in the 75 years since that morning, not one person on this planet has, well, ended up figuring out who he actually was.
70 plus years, no ID.
No missing persons match, no dental match, nothing.
Until 2022, when researchers finally got a DNA profile off a hair sample and traced a name.
A name that answers almost nothing.
That's not answers almost nothing. That's answers nothing you like.
Because there isn't a boring answer here, Eli. The Somerton Man doesn't get to be boring. That's the whole problem.
It's always weird with you.
This one earns it.
Let's ground this before we go anywhere. Body discovered 6:30 a.m., found by a local walking the beach. Cause of death, never conclusively established. No signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds, nothing to suggest he fought anyone.
Right. No wallet, no ID, and this one's small, but it matters. No hat, which back then was a real tell. A man dressed that sharp in a full suit without a hat already reads as off.
Every label had been removed from his clothing, cut out cleanly with what forensics later guessed was a small blade or scissors.
Every single one.
Which I'll admit is unusual, but tailors did sometimes strip labels for resale or repair.
Not from every garment on one body, Eli. That's not tailoring. That's someone sitting down and methodically making sure this man could not be traced.
Or making sure the clothes couldn't be traced. There's a difference.
Is there, though?
Fair. Let's keep going. Months later, a plain brown suitcase turns up sitting in the cloakroom at the Adelaide train station, gathering dust on a shelf. Checked in the day before the body was found, and never once picked up.
Inside, more unlabeled clothes, a stencil kit used for ship work, and thread. An unusual orange thread that matched a repair on his coat.
That thread match is one of the few hard forensic links we actually have. It's not speculation. It's physical evidence tying the suitcase to the body.
Right, but nobody ever claimed that suitcase. Think about that for a second. In a country that size, in an era when people didn't just vanish, someone leaves a bag sitting at a station and no one, not one person, comes forward.
People don't always come forward. That's not evidence of a conspiracy. That's just people.
Hold that thought. Because I haven't even gotten to the pants yet.
Before we get to the poem, let's talk about the body itself, because this part gets skipped a lot, and it shouldn't be.
This is my favorite part, honestly.
Of course it is.
His calf muscles were unusually developed, really pronounced. The kind of build you'd see on a dancer, or someone who spent years wearing tight, pointed boots that forced the muscle to sit differently.
That detail comes from one pathologist's opinion, decades after the fact. It's not a settled finding.
Sure, but layer it in. No calluses on his hands, which usually means no manual labor, no rough work at all. Combine that with the calves and you get someone who was performing, not laboring.
Or someone with a desk job who happened to like walking. You're building a whole dancer out of two soft data points.
His teeth didn't match typical Australian dental patterns for the era either. The wear, the fillings, all of it looked foreign to local dentists at the time. Some researchers think that points to him being from overseas.
Which just means he traveled. That's not exotic, that's a passport.
A passport nobody could ever find.
Okay, that part's fair.
He also had an enlarged liver and spleen, which some read as consistent with
a dozen ordinary conditions. Alcohol use, illness, nothing sinister required.
You always have the boring version ready to go, don't you?
That's the job. Here's where it gets its reputation. Months after the discovery, someone finally checks a fob pocket sewn into the man's trousers. A pocket so small and so tightly stitched, it's barely there. The kind meant for a pocket watch, not a note. That's exactly why it got missed the first time around.
Inside, a scrap of paper no bigger than a matchbook, rolled into a tight little cylinder, like it was meant to be hidden rather than read. 2 words printed on it, torn from a book.
Tamam Shud. Persian, roughly. Well, it translates to, "it is ended," or "finished." It's the closing phrase used at the end of a specific edition of a poetry collection, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
And they actually found the exact book.
A man threw a copy into the back of a parked car near the beach, months before the body was even found, and it had a torn-out back page
that matched the scrap in the man's pocket. Torn edges lined up exactly.
That match is verified. That part isn't speculation.
There's more. And in the back of that book, faint in pencil, almost ghost-like on the page, 5 lines of letters, never definitively decoded, look like a code, read like a code.
Or their initials, a shorthand list, something mundane written by whoever owned that book before it ended up in the car.
A phone number is written in the back too, Eli. Unlisted. Belonging to a nurse who lived less than a mile from where the body was found.
Okay, that one I don't have a clean answer for.
Neither did she. Picture the moment. A detective sets that book down on the table in front of her, no warning. And by every account in the room, the color just drains out of her face. She looks like she's about to go down right there.
She denied knowing him, consistently, for the rest of her life.
People deny plenty of things they know.
There's one more name worth mentioning here, because it complicates your spy angle more than it helps it. Alfred Boxall.
The nurse's former, whatever he was. Suitor, I think is the polite word.
Boxall was given his own copy of the same Rubaiyat edition by that same nurse years earlier. Naturally, when this all broke, police assumed he was the dead man.
Except he wasn't. He turned up alive, book in hand, completely unbothered by the whole thing.
Which to me suggests a coincidence of ownership, not an international plot. Same book, same city, same social circle. Of course, 2 copies overlap eventually.
Or it suggests she was connected to more than one man tied to this case. And in 75 years, nobody's really sat with that.
That question I don't have an answer for either.
You're racking those up today. Speaking of her, can we just sit on the nurse for a second? Because I don't think we give her enough weight.
Go ahead.
Her name was Jessica Thompson, went by Jestin. Nurse, lived close enough to walk to where the body was found in under 10 minutes. Owned a matching copy of the exact same rare book edition.
Sure. All true. Also true. None of that is a crime, and none of it proves she actually knew this specific man.
Her daughter, decades later, said her mother told her, flat out told her, that she knew who the Somerton Man was and asked her to keep it quiet for the rest of her life. That's not nothing. That's a deathbed-adjacent confession.
No. Second-hand, reported by a family member long after the fact. That's testimony, not evidence.
Sure, but layer it onto everything else. The book, the phone number, the reaction when police showed it to her.
A reaction one detective described. One person's read of one woman's face in one stressful moment 75 years ago.
There's also the theory that her son resembled the Somerton Man's facial reconstruction closely enough that some researchers think they were related. Like, unmistakably, according to people who've compared the images.
Which, if true, is genuinely significant. And if false, is exactly the kind of pattern matching I keep warning you about. Faces are subjective. Resemblance isn't a paternity test.
No, but a name kept secret for an entire lifetime? That's a choice. People don't protect strangers like that.
No, they generally don't.
That's the part I can't let go of. Honestly, not the code. Her. Before you close that out, I want the poisoning theory on the record, because it's the one that actually unsettles me, if I'm being honest.
Go ahead.
The pathologist who examined him believed poison was the most likely cause of death. Specifically something like digitalis, which at the right dose stops the heart and can be almost impossible to detect once the organs have started breaking down.
Okay. Digitalis wasn't exotic in 1948. It was a common heart medication. Half the pharmacies in Adelaide would have had it sitting on a shelf.
Common to obtain, sure, but knowing the exact lethal dose, timing it so it looks like natural causes, leaving zero trace afterward, that's not common. That's precision.
Careful, that word's taken.
Fine, that's expertise.
Or it's a man who already had heart problems, self-medicated poorly, and the coincidence of timing makes it look intentional in hindsight.
His organs were never properly preserved for later testing. By the time anyone thought to check more thoroughly, the evidence was just gone. That's not proof of poisoning, but it's not nothing either.
No, it's not nothing.
And combine that with the way he was actually found. No struggle, no visible trauma, legs crossed, arms folded. Almost arranged against that wall like someone laid him down gently rather than left him where he fell. That's not what most deaths look like. That's what a controlled one looks like.
Or died naturally. Full stop. You're allowed to just die on a beach, Simone.
Not with a coded poem in your pocket. I'm not allowing that.
Before we get into theories, let's do a quick round. Smaller details, less time each. No arguing about the big picture yet.
I love quick hits.
I know.
1. Witnesses reported seeing a man matching his description on that same beach the evening before, apparently unable to move one arm, just letting it hang there.
Could be a stroke, could be a drink, could be, frankly, a completely different man.
2. No one at any hotel, boarding house, or rental in the entire city ever reported a guest who matched him and never checked out.
Which suggests he wasn't staying anywhere formal, consistent with someone passing through, or sleeping rough.
3. The stencil kit in the suitcase was the kind used by ship stewards for marking crates. But no shipping line had a matching crew record. Not one.
Records from that era are incomplete. That's not mysterious. That's just old paperwork.
4. And this one gets me every time. His shoes were recently polished. Really picture that. Hours before he ends up against that seawall, somewhere, this man is standing still, working polish into leather with a cloth until it shines. That's not the last act of someone in chaos.
Okay, that one's a genuinely strange detail. A man about to die by violence or misadventure doesn't usually stop to polish his shoes that morning.
Huh. See, that's the thing about quick hits. None of them close the case. But stacked together,
they still don't equal a conclusion. They equal a very well-documented shrug.
A shrug with polished shoes.
Let me build my side properly, because I know exactly where you're headed.
Cold War, Adelaide, 1948. It writes itself.
Of course. It does, and that's exactly the problem. It's a good story, and good stories get believed over boring truths. Adelaide in 48 sat near sensitive weapons testing sites. So the spy theory shows up fast, and it sticks like nothing else does.
Because it fits.
Because it's dramatic, not because it's supported. There's no confirmed espionage link. No agency has ever produced a name, a file, a handler, anything at all.
No. Absence of a file isn't absence of the operation. That's kind of the whole point of espionage.
That logic proves anything you want it to prove. I could say the same thing about aliens.
Don't tempt me.
And even the code, if it is a code, nobody's cracked it in 75 years, including actual cryptographers with actual resources. If it were real tradecraft, someone competent would have broken it by now.
Unless it was never meant to be broken by outsiders. That's the whole design of a one-time pad. Unbreakable by anyone who doesn't already hold the key.
Now you're just describing spy fiction back to me.
Sometimes spy fiction gets it from somewhere real.
Okay, here's mine. My read. This is almost certainly a personal tragedy wearing a mystery's clothes. A man with a hidden second identity, possibly fleeing debt, a bad marriage, a diagnosis. Something private enough that when he died, no one who actually knew the truth ever spoke up.
That's a very sad, very boring answer for a man who died next to a coded poem and an unlisted nurse's phone number.
Boring and true beat exciting and unproven. Every time.
No. Here's my problem with boring answer. You don't accidentally end up with no labels, an untraceable identity, a torn page from an obscure foreign poetry book, an encoded message, and a secret connection to a woman 1 mile away who reacts like she's seen a ghost.
Coincidences compound. That's what makes them coincidences.
At some point.
At some point, you're pattern matching because the pattern is satisfying, not because it's real.
The 2022 DNA identification gave us a name. Carl Charles Webb, an engineer estranged from his family. And you know what that name actually explained?
Go on.
Almost nothing. It didn't explain the poem, didn't explain the code, didn't explain the nurse. We finally got the one piece of the puzzle everyone assumed would unlock the rest, and it just unlocked nothing.
That part I'll give you completely.
That's my whole case. Not spy, just this was a man deliberately built to be unreadable. And 75 years later, he still is.
All right, so where does that leave us? We have a confirmed name now. We have a confirmed book match, a confirmed thread match, hard points on the board.
And we have an unsolved code, an unexplained phone number, and a man who erased every trace of himself on purpose. The evidence didn't close this case. It just made the mystery more specific.
I still think there's a mundane human explanation underneath all of it, one we're simply missing pieces of.
And I still think a man doesn't go to that much trouble to disappear unless he's protecting something or someone.
No verdict here. Just a man who spent his last hours polishing his shoes and folding his arms, making absolutely sure that whoever found him would never know his name. Everything he took the trouble to hide, still hidden.
Tamam Shud. It is ended.
Except it isn't, really.
No, it really isn't.